Have you ever felt like you're trying everything? Affirmations, visualizations, books, meditations, yet your reality seems frozen, unmoved, unshaken. You wake up with good intentions, you repeat the phrases, you visualize the outcomes, and still, the world around you remains the same. It's not that you're broken, it's not that you're doing it wrong, it's simply that you're asleep to something deeper. The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration, to the frequency you hold when no one is watching. And that frequency is not something you speak, it's something you are. What if everything you've been seeking isn't out there, but within the very rhythm of your breath? What if, hidden beneath the noise, the effort, the striving, there is a doorway, always open, always waiting for you to enter? This is not just another method. This is not a checklist. This is a calling to awaken, to remember that you were never stuck. You were simply disconnected from the signal that creates worlds, the signal that flows through every inhale, every exhale, and every silent space in between. Your breath is not just oxygen. It's a messenger, a bridge, a forgotten code embedded in your being, ready to reprogram your inner reality the moment you begin to notice it. And now, the question begins to rise within you like a whisper returning from the edge of memory. Could something as simple as breath be the missing key? Could it be that the shift you've been waiting for is already within you, pulsing, ready, asking to be felt, not forced? This is your invitation, not to try harder, not to chase more, but to wake up, right here, right now. The old tools brought, you here. But now, something ancient is knocking, something sacred. And it begins with the very next breath. Are you ready to answer? Because the journey doesn't begin with doing. It begins with remembering. You've just remembered that the shift begins not with effort, but with awareness. And now, we enter the doorway hidden in plain sight. Your breath. What if I told you that you've been given over 23,000 chances every single day to recreate your reality, and most of them slip by unnoticed? That's how many breaths you take. And yet, how many of them are unconscious, automatic, reactive? Most people breathe to survive. But the ones who awaken breathe to create. There is a world of difference between unconscious breathing and conscious breathing. One keeps you in a loop, the other sets you free. When you breathe without awareness, you react, you repeat, you relive the same patterns again and again. But when you begin to breathe with intention, you interrupt the loop. You send a new signal. You begin to program a new state of being. And this is not just poetic metaphor. Every ancient civilization knew this truth. The yogis called it prana. The Hebrews called it ruach. The Taoists called it chi. Across time and culture, breath has always been seen as more than air. It is life force. It is the sacred current that connects body, mind, and energy. And more than that, it is the language of emotion. Your breath writes your emotional story in real time. When fear arises, breath shortens. When grief enters, breath collapses. But when you breathe consciously, you become the author again. You learn to read what your body is saying, and even more powerful, you learn to rewrite the script, to choose a new story in the space between inhales. With each breath, you send out a frequency. You broadcast an inner state. And the universe, always listening, responds not to what you say, but to the vibration behind it. Your breath becomes the dial that tunes your signal, the bridge between what is and what could be. And as you begin to feel this shift, something else awakens, the one who watches, the silent observer within. In the next moment, we'll meet this part of you, the one who sees without judgment, the one who holds the key to real transformation. The observer is already here. Let's step into it. As you begin to breathe with intention, something remarkable happens. A deeper presence starts to rise. Not a thought, not a feeling, but the one who sees them all. This is the observer, the part of you that watches without judgment, that notices without reacting. Imagine your mind as a flowing river of thoughts, always moving, always changing. Most people are swept away by the current, pulled into every emotion, every belief, every old story. But the observer sits on the riverbank, calm, still, watching, noticing, choosing. You are not the water. You are not even the boat. You are the sky above, unchanged by the clouds that drift through it. This shift in awareness is more than poetic. Neuroscience has shown that conscious observation of thoughts activates the part of your brain responsible for emotional, regulation, and executive function. In simple words, the moment you witness a thought instead of becoming it, your brain rewires itself. The circuits of fear, stress, and reactivity begin to weaken, and the circuits of clarity, calm, and conscious action begin to strengthen. This is the true power of presence. The observer does not fight the storm. It stands still and allows the storm to pass. It doesn't rush to fix. It waits. It breathes. It sees. And in that seeing, something powerful unfolds. You begin to realize you are not your thoughts. You are not your patterns. You are not your past. You are the one who chooses what stays and what goes. The one who pauses before reacting. The one who responds instead of repeats. And this changes everything. Because once you become the one who sees, you are no longer a victim of reality. You become the creator of it, a conscious participant in the unfolding of your life. Every moment becomes a choice, a new beginning, a declaration of identity. You're not here to survive what happens. You're here to shape it, to meet each thought not as truth, but as possibility. The observer is awake now, and with each breath, your identity begins to shift. You're not just aware. You are becoming the creator. Now that the observer is awake, we can go even deeper. Because this isn't just a shift in mindset. It's a shift in the very fabric of reality. In quantum physics, there is a famous experiment called the double-slit experiment. When particles are not being observed, they behave like waves, pure potential, spread out, uncertain. But the moment they are observed, they collapse into a single point, a fixed position in space and time. Simply by watching, the outcome changes, not by touching, not by forcing, just by observing. This is not philosophy, it is physics. And the same principle applies to your inner world. When you observe your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, they begin to shift. Your attention acts like a beam of light that reorganizes the field around you. It turns possibility into pattern. It collapses the unknown into the known. You are not separate from the quantum field. You are within it. And your consciousness is not a passive witness. It is an active force. When you breathe with awareness and set a clear intention, you are sending instructions into this intelligent field, not as a demand, but as a signal of readiness, a signal of alignment. You are saying, I see, I choose, I am present, and the field responds. Life begins to mirror your inner state with uncanny precision. You notice new people, unexpected opportunities, shifts in mood, in energy, in flow. It is not magic, it is coherence. The truth is, reality is not fixed. It's not a script you were handed. It's a canvas waiting for your input. Most people live as if everything is already written, but you are starting to realize that the pen is in your hand, the brush is in your breath, the frame is in your focus. Every observation becomes a declaration. Every breath, a command. The universe is not waiting to be convinced. It is waiting to be witnessed. And the moment you look with intention, it listens. This is the observer effect. And it is not just about what you see. It is about how you see it. Because how you see changes everything. Now that you understand the power of observation, we enter the most sacred space of all, the pause. Between each inhale and each exhale, there is a moment, a sliver of silence, a gap so small that most never notice it. And yet, within this 0.3-second window lies the key to everything. This is the quantum pause, a space outside of reaction, outside of habit. It is the place where possibility lives, unshaped, untouched, waiting for you to choose. Think of it as the creative womb, a still point between movement, a sacred void where all outcomes remain open and none are yet defined. When you pause, truly pause, you step out of time. You exit the cycle of stimulus and response, and for a breath, you become infinite. You are no longer the program. You are the programmer. And in that silence, you can rewrite everything. The magic is not in doing more. It is in being more present with less. To access this space, start with breath. Inhale with awareness. Exhale fully. And as the breath finishes, don't rush to the next. Wait. Feel. Enter the space between. That is your portal. That is the moment where a new timeline becomes available. And the more you practice entering this stillness, the more it begins to expand. What was once 0.3 seconds becomes an entire universe of choice, a sanctuary of calm in a chaotic world. This is where power lives. Not in the past you cannot change. Not in the future you cannot reach, but in the pause you can feel right now. This is the reset point, the 0 point, the place where your body, your mind, and your energy recalibrate. No effort, no force, just presence, pure and alive. The world may keep spinning. The noise may still exist, but inside the pause, you remember who you are. You remember that stillness is not empty. It is full of everything you've been looking for. So next time the world asks you to react, don't. Breathe, pause, and create. Because this tiny gap may be small in time, but it is infinite in power. As you begin to enter the pause, you start to feel something deeper. Not in your thoughts, not in your surroundings, but in your body. The place you have lived every moment of your life, yet so often ignored. Your body is not just a vessel. It is a temple, a sacred archive of everything you've ever felt, feared, or forgotten. And you are the silent guardian within. Every breath you take begins to open its doors. Behind your shoulders lies the weight of unspoken responsibility. In your chest, the echoes of love held back. In your belly, the tension of dreams, delayed. In your throat, the words you were too afraid to say. This is not imagination. It is biology. It is energy. It is memory woven into muscle, into tissue, into frequency. And here's the truth. Your body remembers everything, even when your mind forgets. But it doesn't hold on to punish you. It holds on because no one ever stayed long enough to help it release. Until now. With every conscious breath, you begin to unlock what has been waiting. You breathe into your shoulders and the tension softens. You breathe into your chest and it rises with new space. You breathe into your gut and the fire returns. You breathe into your throat and your voice begins to tremble with truth. This is the journey home. Not away from yourself, but back, inside, back into the temple. Breath is your offering. Presence is your prayer. And in return, your body begins to open its wisdom to you. Not in words, but in sensations, in stillness, in release. You are not here to escape your body. You are here to embody it, to honor it, to listen to it. Because inside this temple are the keys to your power. Every layer you unlock reveals more energy, more clarity, more life. Healing is not about fixing what is broken. It is about returning to what has always been whole. And it begins again and again with breath. So enter gently, breathe deeply, and remember, the divine lives inside you, waiting to be felt. As you begin to awaken the temple within, something miraculous starts to happen. Your breath no longer stays contained inside you. It begins to radiate outward. Like light through a stained glass window, your inner frequency spills into the space around you. This is the breath field, the invisible atmosphere you carry everywhere you go. Long before you speak a word, this field is already in conversation. It tells the world who you are, what you feel, and how safe it is to be near you. Science confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. The heart sends out an electromagnetic field that is 60 times more powerful than the brain. And your breath directly shapes that field. When your breath is shallow, scattered, or stressed, your signal becomes chaotic. It creates dissonance. It ripples tension through the space you enter. But when your breath is slow, coherent, and intentional, it creates harmony. It brings peace. It sends out waves of calm that others can feel, even if they don't understand. Why? Children feel it. Animals feel it. Strangers across a room feel it. Because frequency doesn't need words. It only needs resonance. You have the power to shift a room without saying anything. Simply by changing your breath, you change your broadcast. And this is not about perfection, it's about coherence. Coherence is when your heart, your breath, and your intention are aligned. When they beat as one. When your presence becomes a healing force. This is your real influence. Not what you know, not what you say, but how you make people feel in your presence. And that starts with how you feel inside your own body. Breath is the dial, emotion is the signal, and your field is the message. You don't need to push, you only need to align. Because when you shift yourself, everything around you begins to shift too. Reality rearranges to match your vibration. So breathe as if the world is listening, because it is. You are not just in the field, you are the field. And your breath is the frequency that shapes it all. As your breath begins to harmonize your energy field, you step into something even deeper, a space not defined by effort, but by essence, a frequency not of striving, but of stillness. In a world that constantly rewards action, stillness is often misunderstood. It is seen as passive, as doing nothing. But true stillness is not emptiness. It is focus. It is precision. It is the most powerful choice you can make. Like the eye of the storm, where everything is silent, yet that silence holds the greatest force. When you reside in stillness, you are not removed from life. You are centered within it. You stop chasing and instead begin attracting. The quantum field does not respond to frantic motion. It responds to coherence, to clarity, to consistency. And the breath is your entry point. When you breathe slowly, deeply, and with presence, you access a state beyond thought, a place where alignment becomes your default, not your effort. In this state, you don't need to control. You simply resonate. And what matches your resonance naturally finds its way to you. This is not about doing more. It is about being more centered, more intentional, more connected to the rhythm that already exists beneath all things. Every moment you spend in stillness is a moment you reclaim your power. Because in stillness, there is no resistance, there is no noise, there is only truth. The universe is not asking you to run harder. It is asking you to breathe softer, to feel deeper, to trust more fully. And from this place of trust, inspired action begins to arise. Not because you are forcing, but because you are aligned, because your signal is clear, and your path reveals itself without struggle. Doing nothing from the right state becomes doing everything with ease. So stop trying to move the world by pushing harder. Start by becoming still. Breathe into the silence, and discover that within it lives the power to shift everything. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the doorway to its highest expression, and now you are standing in that doorway. From the stillness within, a new rhythm begins to rise. Not a rhythm of force, but of flow. You start to realize something profound. Life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be cooperated with. Control is born from fear. Alignment is born from trust. When you try to control, you tighten. You resist. You hold your breath. But when you align, you open. You listen. You exhale. And in that breath, everything begins to move with you, not against you. Breath is not just a tool for calm. It is your compass, a direct line to your inner alignment. Every inhale guides you back. Every exhale softens your grip. And as you begin to live from this space, you become like the archer before the release, still, focused, unwavering. The power of the arrow comes not from chaos, but from calm. From the silence before the motion. You no longer act from panic. You act from presence. You no longer chase. You attract. Because your inner signal is clear, steady, aligned. Alignment is not about getting everything right. It is about being right with yourself. About trusting that life knows what it's doing when you meet it with coherence instead of resistance. This shift changes everything. You stop needing to figure it all out. You begin to dance with what is. You feel the energy of your body becoming a living expression of harmony. And in this space, you start to realize that your greatest impact comes from your frequency, not your force. You don't need to control the outcome. You need to embody the energy that creates it. Breath by breath, moment by moment, you return to the flow. You return to the intelligence that's been guiding you all along. And from this state, the next step becomes clear, not because you planned it, but because you aligned with it. In the next part, we step into that moment, the place where alignment becomes action, where energy becomes movement, and where you, the creator, begin to shape the world, not from control, but from deep, embodied power. And now, the breath becomes movement. The stillness becomes power. The alignment becomes action. You've journeyed from unconscious patterns to conscious awareness, from reactive energy to embodied presence. You've remembered the sacred power of breath, the wisdom of your body, the clarity of your observer, and the truth of the quantum field that responds to your frequency. And now, there is only one step left. Action, not rushed, not forced, but aligned, coherent, intentional. You don't need another reason. You don't need more time. You only need this moment, because this moment is enough. This moment is the gateway. This is where creation happens. Not someday, not after you're ready, but now, right here. With one conscious breath, you return to yourself. With one clear decision, you shift your timeline. With one present action, you send a new signal into the field, and the field responds. This is not a concept. This is an invitation. Right now, take a breath. Not just any breath, a breath with presence, a breath with purpose. Breathe in the truth of who you are. Exhale everything that no longer fits, and declare it, out loud or within. I have returned from the dark with light inside. This is your first act of creation, your first ripple of new frequency. Now take a moment to write 3 things you will do differently, starting today. 3 new signals, 3 declarations of alignment. And each time you act, breathe first. 3 conscious breaths before anything you do. That is how you rewire your life. Not all at once, but one present moment at a time. This is your power. This is your design. You are not here to wait for reality to shift. You are here to become the one who shifts it. The breath is the key. You are the doorway. Now step through. You are the creator. The field is listening, and everything is already in motion, because you have remembered who you are, and you have begun.